Hey guys, Prue and I are here today to help you guys get started on your heel. We're going to go over our shaping technique, which means we're starting really small and building it a little bit at a time. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we start in good position. Now, Prue's got arthritis, so oftentimes we'll just start with a stand with her. If you're going to do a stand start with your dog, make sure they're on a loose leash. And you could also start from a down. Again, just make sure they're on a loose leash. So it doesn't matter if they're on a sit, a stand, a down. You want to make sure you get in good position. And again, you're on a loose leash. Okay, so we're going to start in a good heel position, which is ultimately where we want our dogs to walk. And then we want to make sure we're following through with the sequence that we've talked about in all of our other videos. Command, mark, release, reinforce. Now, in the beginning, you may need to take that marker out of your heel because it's going to throw the timing off on your release word. That's okay if you need to do that in the beginning. We can always add it in later on. So what you'll probably see me do today is command, release, reinforce, so it doesn't throw off my timing on this heel technique. As I start adding distance, I'm going to add that marker back into my training. So what we're going to do, make sure we start in great position, and then we want to make sure we start on a loose leash. We're going to say our heel word, we're going to go forward, release our dog as soon as they get up. This doesn't matter if they get up and go to the side, it doesn't matter if they're slow to get up. We're going to release them as soon as they get up, because when we do that, it creates anticipation for their reinforcement, which encourages our dogs to start faster, stay in better position, and have more focus and engagement. Now, just like all the other behaviors we've released for, it means, hey, good job, you did it right. You got to stop doing it and come to me to get your treat or your toy or whatever you're using for your positive reinforcement. With our heel, this means we need to move backwards. So we're going to heel forward and release back. All right, Prue and I are going to hopefully demonstrate a few starts for you, and if they go well, we'll look at adding some distance. Free, Prue. Good job. All right, we're going to start in great position. She's going to give me a sit. I'm going to take that. Good girl. And I'll mark it. Heel. Free. Good. Okay, so she got up right away, released her, moved back, gave her the treat. The treat is going to come out once you've said your release word. You do not want to heel with the food in your hands for this exercise. Okay, let's try start again. Okay, now she's pointed that way. That's absolutely fine. I'm just going to adjust to her. Don't get really picky about where your dog sits if they offer it on your own. Just adjust to them. Heel. And again, it's heel forward, release, back. Okay, so she started great that time. Once I have my start established, that's my cue as the handler to add some distance. Now, you know your start's good when you have 4 components, and those 4 components are a loose leash. You're not having to hold your dog in position until you start. You're not having to pull them off their sit or their down to get them to move forward with you. They are starting independently. They are starting on their own. Second, are the treats in your hand, or are they in your pocket or your pouch? Make sure you're able to heel forward on this start with treats in your pocket or your pouch rather than in your hand. Then we want to think about position. Is our dog moving forward the same direction we're going and staying there for this start? And then lastly, our 4th component is focus. Is our dog looking at us, the handler, or are they looking straight ahead where we're going? Either of those are acceptable for your heel. Personally, I like my dogs to look at me when I'm doing a formal heel, but if you'd prefer them looking ahead, that's okay too. Just make sure they're not looking at the dog over there, they're not looking at the floor, or wanting to focus on something other than the task ahead or on you as the handler. If you have all 4 of those components, that's your cue to add distance. When you go to add distance though, only add maybe 2 to 3 steps. Don't say, I've got my start established, I'm going to go for a mile-long walk in great heel position. Build up to that a couple of steps at a time. So I feel like Prue started great on both of those. Do as many starts as you need to until you have that established. Once you have it established, meaning you've got a loose leash, no food in your hand, food doesn't come out until you've said your release word, you've got great position, and you've got great focus, then you can add some distance. All right, we're gonna try to demonstrate maybe 4 steps this time. Come on, Prue. All right, we're gonna get in good position to start with. Good. Don't forget to mark that initial sit. Heel. Free. Good job. All right, all the components are still there. We've got our heel forward. We've got that as our command. And then we've got our behavior. Like I said, take out that marker now if you need to and just go with your release word. Once you've got your distance established, we'll add that marker back in. So we've got our command, we've got our release, and then we've got our reinforcement. Notice every time I've released, I've moved back. As you're moving back, that's when your treat comes out to give to your dog. Or if you were using a toy, that's when your toy would come out. Okay, so we're going to show that coming the other way this time. We'll try to add a little bit of distance again. Come on, Chris. Again, we're going to start in good position. Now she's a little in front of me, so I'm just going to adjust to her. Heel. Free. Good. Notice I'm saying the release word as we're still moving forward. If you stop and then move back and say free, you're actually going to end up reinforcing your dog being in front of you. So you want to make sure you're saying your release word while you're still moving forward. Use whatever word works for you. I use free. You can use whatever word works best for you. Heel. Free. So for this heel, you want to think about adding a step or 2 at a time. And this is going to be situational. So maybe you're working in your hallway at home and your dog's doing great and you can heel forward with fabulous position and focus on a loose leash with no treats in your hand for 10 steps. You go to the park and you try that and it doesn't go well. What you want to think about doing in that situation is breaking it down into pieces. I would encourage you to do a few starts in a new situation as a warm-up. If your starts go well in that situation, add another couple of steps. Don't jump from your start to 10 steps, especially in the beginning. Break it down into pieces. Dogs are so situational. Until you've practiced this focused heel in a variety of situations, you're probably going to have to warm up with your start anytime you go somewhere new. And then you can quickly build up your distance from there, in most cases. So again, follow through with that sequence. Take out the marker in the beginning if you need to. Add it back in as you've added some distance in. So this time, let me see if I can demonstrate the marker added back in with a little bit of distance. Come on, Prue. Okay, again, we're going to start in good position. Good. Heel. Good job. Free. Okay. Don't add that marker in until you've established some distance. If you do, it's going to throw off your timing. Your dog's going to probably end up being in front of you by the time you said your release word. So save your marker until you've got maybe 4 or 5 steps built up on this. Now another thing to point out is I typically will always heel forward with my right leg first, even though Prue heels on my left. That's a personal preference. I like doing it that way because I feel like it gives my dogs an extra second to focus and maintain good position. If you want to heel forward with your inside leg, feel free to do that. I would encourage you to pick one and be consistent on it. And then what you could also think about as you get better and more proficient with your handling skills is you heel forward with one leg, and then when you're doing your stay work, you heel forward, you walk away with the other leg. So whatever you're doing, try to be as consistent as possible. All right, just to review, we've got establishing our start before we add distance. And that start needs to look like having a loose leash, having food in your pocket or your pouch instead of your hands, having good position established, and having good focus established. Once you have those, it's as simple as building up steps, building up distance, 1 or 2 steps at a time. So just start adding that on. Don't be afraid to break things down into pieces. If you go somewhere new and your dog's struggling, go back and work your start until that's established to your standards, and then start building back up on your distance. Hope this helps you get started on your heel. Be progressive, just like our stay work. Follow through with your sequence, and make sure you move back on your release. As always, we appreciate you joining us, and have a great day.